And I says, I want to build ships. The lady looked at me and she says, I think you do.
I am California of the past.
I am California of the past. I am California of the past.
My name is Mary Torres. I had just graduated from high school. The year was 1942. We were at war. I spotted this ad from McClellan Air Base near Sacramento, and they wanted workers. And they needed me immediately, and work was guaranteed, my first job. And it was a doozy. And I continued working there for, I'd say 6 or 7 months. Then I was getting restless. I didn't think I was doing enough to help the war effort. I saw this ad from more shipyards in Oakland, California. They needed lady workers, and I thought, this is for me. Sunday morning, I got on the local bus and headed for Oakland. When I got to the Oakland, once more I asked for the local bus that would take me to Adeline Street, which at the base of Adeline Street was the shipyards. I went into the employment office and I says, I want to build ships. Lady looked at me and she says, I think you do. She says, right next door is a welding school and you can go there and weld for 1 week. At the end of the week, we'll assign you to a ship and you can build your ship. I thought, oh, this is great. I had no problems learning to weld. It was just nothing to me. The teacher was pleased with my work. He immediately sent me to one of the ships. And when I walked on it, it was just a plain, flat piece of steel. And I thought, this is no ship. There is the ship next. But as I'm looking this over, one little man come up to me and he says, my name is Frank. I'm going to be your boss. Now, he handed me a little piece of steel and he says, now, can you weld a little on this piece of steel? And I said, sure. So I sat down and I started to weld and I heard, stop! I thought, what do I do now? So I lifted my helmet and looked. I had a big hole about that big. I thought, what happened? My boss looked at me and he said, didn't they show you how to set the machine? And I says, no, they showed me how to weld, but they didn't show me the machine. So he went over and he readjusted the machine, gave me another piece of steel, and I sat and I made that bead, beautiful bead. Frank comes over and he scrapes that off and he says, wow, you're ready to go tacking. So before long, I was a tacker, which meant that I was a helper. After about 3 months, I was a welder, and I start welding on the ships. And that ship was taking form, and I was a shipbuilder. So as the months went by, Frank started asking me if I'd like to go out with him. And I says, well, I don't usually date, but I'll go to the movies with you. So I did, and Frank and I got pretty close. He was a wonderful man. I think I liked him the minute he came and helped me out with that big old hole. So after that, we got a little more serious, and the months went by, and first thing you know, it's been a year that we'd been going together. And Frank asked me if I would like to get married. And I says, well, I hadn't thought about it, but I think so. I'd love to marry you. In the meantime, I had heard rumors that they were going to lay off all the women in the shipyards. He says, well, let's get married now. This is a picture of Frank and I in 1943 when Frank asked me to marry him. The man of my life.